Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions. We also have Brave Business Books and Brave Kids Books, and we are helping the world experience what's possible. Here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors that we have for a new book coming out. This one is called Transformative Leadership, Self-Mastery for the New Voice of Business Success. Jill Austin is the lead author of this project. So before we get into it with these authors today, I just want to say a huge thank you to Jill for her incredible vision and mission about leadership and just the amazing way that she pulled this stellar cast of expert authors together. You guys just wait till you hear, read, experience these experts and how they're redefining leadership, in my opinion. Jill, we wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much. So who do I have in my Zoom room today? Carrie Morgan is the executive director of the Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation, where she raises critical funding for cancer research in immunotherapy. And Jim Blazer is an expert in strategic partnerships, mergers, acquisitions, and health system transformation with over 40 years of experience with large health systems and consulting. All right, you two, welcome. Jim, I'm going to start this party with you this morning. Tell us the why behind this leadership chapter for you.
Hey, good morning, Laura. My chapter is chapter 17 with the title, Why Lead Alone? Sharing the Power for Greater Impact. And a little bit, that's kind of the why behind my chapter, is that the book is about transformative leadership. And I decided to write about what was most transformative to me as a leader and how that changed myself and my ability to turn others into leaders as well. So empowering others makes the biggest difference in the whole world. My transformation was based on 10 leadership principles from a company called LeadQuest, and I learned all 10 of these principles. And the principles sound like mom and apple pie. Be in the moment and be curious, not judgmental, things like that. But when you really embrace them, when you really think about them, when you practice them, and when you get your team to do that, it's game changing. It's just an unbelievable transformation. And what I found that I got from myself and from my team were better solutions, better ideas, more innovation, and very importantly, better execution and implementation. Some of the leadership principles that were most impactful to me personally, which really meant that they were my biggest opportunities for improvement, were to be in the moment, because I found that people talk about multitasking, and I was a really good multitasker, which it meant was in a meeting I'd be doing other things, and it's not courteous to the other people there. That's the purpose of the meeting, to bring your whole self, to really dive in. And so when I found that I'm in the moment, I'm my best for my team members, and I was best in meetings, and it really made me better, made my team better. Another area for me, another one of the leadership principles was to be curious, not judgmental. And early in my career, I found I was known for solving problems and being able to do things quickly. Well, I was good at that, but what that means is that I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't being curious as I could be. And so although I did very well at that, I could have been better by involving others and getting them to think with me and be partners in my thinking. Another one for me was having courageous conversations. And it's probably, I think, one of the hardest things for leaders to do. And it's not just that review time that you have these kinds of conversations, but when you get the skill set and the tools to be able to have a courageous conversation, meetings get better. You find out what makes people tick. You help them bring out their best ideas, and you can change the tone of a meeting. It's really, really a great skill. And finally, and this was brand new to me, I did it, but I never really thought about it with intention. And that's to teach, coach, and mentor. Spend half of my time developing others. And when you develop others, it's magic. So I believe that when you spend time creating a team of leaders, you bring out the very best in them. They bring out the best in the other members of your team, and that you get a bigger impact for the organization and for your team members that lasts forever.
Thank you for all of that. You have my mind spinning on so many different pieces of this, but can we talk about being in the moment again, just for another minute? Like that, I believe, is the foundation for almost every success in life, business, and otherwise. And I want to hear from you, like when that switched for you and you understood it fully, and then you were in practice with that. Could you give us a little peek in the window of like, how did that look? Did you talk to yourself like, all right, Jim, it's time to put the phone on do not disturb and take 3 deep breaths, or what was your process of it?
Yeah, Laura, that's a great question. Um, 2 observations for myself. One is I realized that I had team members that put a lot of material and thought together for one-on-one meetings with me. And then they would come in and I might take a phone call. I might be distracted because I had to go present a report or do something for my boss. And I realized when I went for a meeting with my boss that he was not in the moment and how that made me feel. And it made me think about how does that make my team members feel? And so the light bulb went on. You really have to do everything that you said. You have to be in the moment, no phone calls, no disruptions. You have to do it. And because of my role, which also included public relations, if something was hot and going on at that moment, I would tell my team member, I'm going to be in the moment, but if this is going on, if that happens, we're going to reschedule because I want to be fully with you. So I really do prep. And when people come in, I mentally say, we're going to focus for the next 45 minutes on what we're talking about. When you do that, the meetings are 10x better. I'm better for them as a leader, and they really embrace it. And we have much better meetings and better results.
Yes, definitely. Awesome, Jim. I love kicking this off today with this topic, and especially just because I feel like it is really the foundation for everything. Thank you for being here, and thanks for saying yes to this project.
Thank you.
All right, Carrie, I want to hear the
Mhm.
why behind your leadership chapter.
The why. It's interesting because when you think about transformational leadership and where you are in your life, sometimes you think, have I really done something that's transformational? And I think that was my dilemma. And and in talking with Jill Austin about it, what was helpful was realizing how you get to your present day. And fortunately, I had a great mentor, Tracy Sampson, who, and I almost named my chapter The Gift of Hindsight, because that really is powerful on what you learn along the way, and you have these moments of reflection. And so why I did this chapter was to really pay homage to the people that shaped me, and I wanted to figure out how to pass that down to other people, because really the gift of kindness and the gift of time, and you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, and you need to always apply that when you're a leader, just especially in light of what Jim just said, being present with people. And we have forgotten, especially in today's digital and technological world, how really it's the gift of time and the gift of presence that you remember. And it's the people, you're only as good as the men standing next to you, right? And that's one reason why I really was focused in on this chapter, reluctant to do it because it's a super vulnerable part to explain something that's very transformational. And it's also difficult to articulate how much an individual in your mentorship can really change your life, and how you really want to pay homage and pass that down.
I love that. Oh my gosh, again, so many places to go with that start for yours. I think I'm going to just ask you about why that felt vulnerable for you. And I appreciate you mentioning that in terms of also getting your words out loud in a book that is about you and, your unique journey. But what piece of that did you struggle with? And obviously you figured it out. Tell me more.
Well, in my chapter, when you talk about something as hard as someone passing away from cancer, how I got to my career, my whole trajectory changed because somebody I worked with died of cancer. And you can say that all day long. But to write about it, Laura, was probably one of the most vulnerable things I've ever done because there's this young 20-year-old baby Carrie, and I was like, how did I do that? I I don't even know how I did it except without my mentor Tracy. I could not have done what I did without her helping me along the way. And she gave me guardrails and she loved me through it. And I think that's where my biggest vulnerability was writing about this transformational process. And again, what's transformational for me is not necessarily transformational for you or the next person, but there was a vertical theme in that I wanted to apply. And the vulnerability was one of the hardest things I've ever written about in this chapter. And I actually didn't even realize until I got to about the thousand word mark. I thought, what have I committed to? Because it's really in a perspective. And when you have to really talk about something as transformational, we hear that word thrown out all the time in work and books and conference rooms and board meetings. But to really have something be transformational is a gift we need to talk more about, and it's a gift we need to really educate people on what that means. And it was really illuminating for me to write and to talk about it.
Thank you for doing it. And thank you for moving through that. You just said a minute ago, I was writing it down. She gave me guardrails when you talked about your mentor. I love that line. Thank you for that. She gave me guardrails. Carrie, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to this. I'm going to stick with you now, and we're going to do exactly what you just said. So thank you for having ESP for this next question. But what is transformative leadership to you? What's your definition of that in terms of helping our listeners understand what this book is?
That's a good question, and I think it's an evolving answer depending on where you are in your life. For me, writing about what I did in my early 20s, I want to send that girl an arrangement because I don't know how I did that. And also, you're just naive and you're young and you have the gift of someone helping you that identifies your talent, identifies your gifts, identifies your weaknesses, and they mold you along the way. And I think that was the hindsight of this chapter, was really learning about what you're capable of because someone has given you the guardrails and has empowered you to do transformational work. So the transformation comes from you. You just don't realize you have the power to do it. And I think that was something that I learned throughout this process was, transformational is emotional. It's a lot of heart, it's a lot of smarts, and it's how you adopt that balance. They say the shortest distance is the 18 inches between your head and your heart. But how is it that you can make that work for you, both in your personal and your work life? Because there's so many vertical themes in how you work and how you adopt in your personal life, and finding that balance and finding that so that you have the characteristics to do it well and in both worlds.
I want to send that girl an arrangement. Yes, I think I will send mine an arrangement as well. Jim, how would you answer this? What's your definition really of transformative leadership?
Laura, I think that for me, the transformative leadership fits with the times that we live in today, and that the type of leadership that worked for me 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago isn't going to work for today. There's so many changes in society, so many changes in the workforce. Um, the team members that show up today are different, in my opinion, than they were when I first started my career. They want to be more involved. They want to be part of a team that isn't being told what to do and rewarded for just doing it well, but participating in developing the future and the direction of the organization. So for me, it couldn't have come at a more timely manner that I learned these skills. And both you and Carrie used the word vulnerable. The hard part about, I think, transformational leadership today is you have to be a little bit vulnerable. You have to take some chances. And, for me, I'll just give one quick story is that I wrote about in the chapter, is that we were launching a new logo, a new brand for an organization I was with. And my team came to me with an idea about having an anthem and really going strong into the marketplace. And in my mind, it was like, no, we're not going to do that. That's just not the way. I'm going to tell you what to do. They were so passionate and they believed in it so much. I said, let's try it. Let's see where it goes. It's the best launch of any brand I've ever had in my career. And it was taking the faith that my team had a really good idea and running with it. But it made me feel vulnerable. What if it wasn't right? What if it wasn't going to work? But you have to use your gut. If you just know it's going to be wrong, you have to figure out what to do. But I had nothing to base it on other than I just didn't think that was the right way to go. And the team was right.
So you are both dropping golden nuggets of awareness today. Like I call these ninja moves because they are other level. And if people are really paying attention and listening to how you're navigating your moments, they will have huge gifts here. So I just wanted to thank you both for that. Your beautiful stories in the book are amazing. And then you're stepping up with your master teachings. And I want the readers to know this book is both of those things. You're going to read those real stories, and then you're going to have some practical application. And I can't wait for y'all to read this book. So, Jim, some of what you're talking about and part of the theme of our book is self-mastery. So when I know when Jill really defined it and was talking the theme out with me of transformative leadership, she wanted to make sure that we were talking about self-mastery. And we are all on that journey, aren't we? So what was the thing in you that you had to master? And I know there are many, but if you could hit on one most important, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say it was being more curious than judgmental. Um, the building your career, you have to do things quickly, and healthcare is moving very quickly. So I learned to be successful that I had to hear things and make very quick decisions. By doing that, you're not as curious as you need to be. And I had to really work hard, just to be more curious, and then to make it not lag, make it feel like the time when, if you master that skill, it actually goes as faster because you're getting better input, more insights, and your team is engaged and embraced. So you're going to actually carry it out faster. But it was, quite frankly, counterintuitive to me. I kept feeling like I'm going to lose it. What will people think of me? It was very hard, but it it's really made a big difference for me. And I will say this, that at the beginning, I also had a coach. So the coach helped me a lot. But the gift that coach gave me is I feel like I now do a lot of teaching, coaching, and mentoring. So when someone says, will you be a mentor for me? I pull out my 10 principles and I say, I will, as long as we'll both work on the 10 principles together.
Nice. I love that. I wrote something down based on what you were saying, and I think this is a little light bulb moment for you all if you haven't heard this said this way. But making decisions more quickly might impair your ability to be curious. So if you're one of those people who's making fast decisions all day long, and maybe it's part of what you have to do, how about 3 deep breaths first? Right? Like it doesn't have to be an hour. It could, but I really love that, Jim. Carrie, how about for you on this one, self-mastery? What do you think the thing was for you that one of them, right? There's many things, but what was most important for you on that journey?
I mean, there's a couple things that Jim said to expand upon that you sort of have these epiphanies along the way. And I think for me, the what I didn't realize is that, you wake up one day and you're like, I want to do X and I want to be, this kind of person. I want this title. But I think you really have to be open, and I think you have to be curious. I think that's a really good word. You have to, in order to be vulnerable, you have to be curious. And I think that goes hand in hand. And for me, the self-mastery is an interesting word, because what I learned through that is that you have to be open to ideas, to change, to thinking. You might pick your career, but your career might pick you. And you have to be open to that, which is a form of self-mastery that I don't think we talk about enough. And how is it that you can kind of go with the movement? Because sometimes you don't realize the journey you're on, and all the twists and turns, and how you can adapt and amend and ebb and flow with that is really paramount to how you get from point A to point B. Sometimes there's just not a direct path. There's a lot of, U-turns and twists and turns, and brace for impact moments that you have to deal with. So that's the self-masteries. You have to just be open.
Y'all seen the meme with the picture of the journey, and it's just a squiggly line all over the place. They compare it to the straight line trajectory, and we're like, yeah, it kind of feels like that squiggly line most of the time.
Laura, just one other thought from our discussion is one of the other pieces that I learned is that, and exactly from what you just said, it's about progress, not perfection. It's that as you do this, you slide sometimes, but you have to keep working at it, and eventually you'll keep getting better. But it's about progress.
Yes, it's good to remember. All right. So I've got one last question for both of you. And it's, we're talking about this thing in many, many different ways. It's kind of talking about the same thing and from different angles. And it's also one of the reasons why I love these books so much, because we need all of our authors' unique ways of expressing what this means, because it's not the same for everyone. And I love how you've done it today. And I kind of want to do it one more time. Carrie, what's the most important thing you want to leave people with in terms of how they are developing their own leadership style on this journey?
That's a good question. How you develop your own leadership. I think the best thing you can do is surround yourself with experienced, successful professional people. And I think you've got that on the top side, but I think you also have to have your professional colleagues that you get to work with, and you get to learn and be open. And the curiosity part, I think, is what's really key to any kind of leadership, is how you can always make yourself be better by finding people that are better than you are, and also people that don't have your skill sets, because that's where you really can thrive as a leader, is surrounding yourself with people that can complement your own level of success, because that just makes it bigger, faster, meaner, stronger.
I love that piece of advice. It helps me think of this moment way back when, I thought to be successful, I had to do everything and I had to do it alone. Right. And so when you bust out of that definition and you realize it's the complete opposite, I don't have to do everything. And there's a lot of people that do it certain aspects better than me, that if I could just collaborate, right, I'd have success probably beyond my wildest dreams. I love that. Thank you, Carrie. All right, Jim, close us out today on this one. What's that one most important thing you want people to know as they develop their own leadership style?
Yeah, I think it's similar. It's that building a team of leaders, building other people's leadership skills is the greatest impact and legacy that you can leave. So for me, I'm getting closer to retirement, and people say, what do you want to be known for? Or what was most important to you? For me, it's that I help develop and grow other leaders that will go on way beyond me and make a big difference in the world. And it's a gift if you can really help other people strengthen their leadership skills. It pays back dividends way over and over and over again.
Jim Blazer, Carrie Morgan, thank you both so much for what you do in the world. And thank you for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
So maybe listeners, you heard something today that gave you the goosebumps or sparked you in some way. Maybe you're inspired. Maybe you have a question or you need a little support. This is way more than a book, you guys. It is a generous community. I have both of our authors hooked up with their links down below. Connect, ask the question, carry on the conversation, right? Go explore what they're up to in the world. It is a lot and it is amazing. And you're also invited to join us for our book launch party. I'm going to have all of the authors of Transformative Leadership with me. We're going to be doing our book launch party on October 3rd. And I have some information down below about how to get on that Zoom and rub elbows with our authors. And of course, if you're listening anywhere around that date, it's probably time to get over to Amazon and buy your copy of this incredible book. Lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.